Hello and welcome to 360 Vibes, the number one stop shop for everything entertainment, movies, music, art, and of course entertainment gossip. My name is Queen Ibanigo and on Instagram at Alex Rainer. And we know how we do this. I'm not here alone. I'm here with my girl. Hi, Faith.
Hi guys. Welcome back to the show. Today is an exceptional episode. Tighten your seatbelt because we have an amazing gist for you today.
So guys, that's my girl Faith, and we know how we do this. We have someone in our midst, someone a very special, a guest. So just fasten your seatbelts and be right back. Welcome back to 360 Vibes. So here in the studio is a distinguished United Nations agent for Global Media Chainmaker Award winner, a center-recognized investigative journalist, fellow of Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism, and a multi-award winner, broadcaster, journalist, cultural leader, media trainer, broadcast and communications specialist, first and only Nigerian to win the British International Communications Entrepreneur Awards. The title of her novel is Distortion, a mental health fiction based on real-life incidents encountered in investigative series in domestic violence and others. Here with us in the studio is Lady E. Hello.
Hi.
Pleasure to
have
be with you,
you,
ladies. What an intro. And you look lovely, girl.
Thank
Come
you.
on.
I love
Rapping.
your outfit.
I'm telling
giving
you.
us the African vibe.
Always
Yeah.
consistency. Consistency, because at the end of the day, when you think about it, our African attire are beautiful.
Actually.
Unfortunately, we forgot that when the Dutch came
Yeah.
and decided to take the designs that we have, they took ownership of commercializing our natural fabrics.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that tells you something, that you cannot have an idea and not make it more commercial.
Yeah.
Don't let
Actually.
somebody take it away from
That's
you.
But it's
true.
lovely, like you're still representing everything.
Always.
Everywhere.
Everything I
The
do
hair
is-
off, this is beautiful.
Come
Thank
on,
you so
the red
much.
lipstick is
It's
It's a given. My
calling.
father told me the
It's
first
calling.
time I wear my lipstick, he said red is your color. And I've stuck to it
Actually,
for years.
no, that's really good.
Wow,
So
that's
now
nice.
reading your biography, I'm like, wow, a lot of awards. I was like, who are you? Who's Lady
Obviously.
E? So I think you should just give us a chit chat about who Lady E is and what you do and everything.
and how what you have done that has made this Lady E name go
Lady E.
viral.
Who is Lady E?
You are all
Yes.
sounding like
Yes.
your millennials.
to know who Lady E
Viral
is.
is a key word
I
for
don't
you.
know who she is, and like you just.
My journey is a very fascinating one. I am a
Okay.
woman who, if you dig in my history, I have made a lot of contributions within the Nigerian space.
Wow.
When it comes to talent development, talent
Yeah.
management, when it comes to setting up radio stations, managing broadcast organizations, and things like that. So for those who know me really well, my journey navigated all the way from Voice of Nigeria in Gombe, when I started the first ever
Wow.
radio program dedicated to women and children. And then it also navigated to Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, that's FRCN. I've always been in that space of broadcast and all of that, being a pioneer presenter, being a pioneer anchor, a pioneer person who actually does something different from what people normally do. And my history is such that over the years, I have been privileged and blessed. Many people don't know this because at the time when it happened, I just went under.
Wow.
I went low key, and people have always asked me, Lady E, after what you did in Port Harcourt, discovering talent and all of that.
My city.
It's your city, right?
Yeah, from Port Harcourt.
So I have mentored thousands of young people in
Wow.
Nigeria, from the
That's
likes of Tini
beautiful.
Dakolo,
Wow.
who emerged from what we call the GE Factor Star Search
Oh my
program.
God.
That was in
Wow.
Port Harcourt. He was our first protege. This was in 2005,
That's Timi
2006.
Dakolo.
Yes, Timi Dakolo.
Wow.
Yes, people have always asked me, why have I never spoken about the story?
Yes,
Like I kept it so
obviously.
silent.
No, like
That was
something
because-
we should
want to know about. Obviously.
no, we don't
I'm very
know
sure
who
a lot
Lady
of people
is
are
because-
curious to
Can I
know
even
about
add more
it.
to that?
No, you should feel free.
Please
Did
do.
you know that one of our proteges also who we mentored, supported, guided, and pushed them in the way which they should go? Because one of the things we wanted to do with the G Factor Star Search, which is
Yeah.
called the Gift Essence Factor Star Search then, was that we just wanted young people to know that you've got gifts inside of you. Identify them. be on a platform that celebrates your talent. Test yourself, stretch yourself. Because part of why he was able to do what he did on the international stage was that GE Factor prepared them for that space, for that mindset. So the likes of Mark Angel, Emanuela
This is so much. This is so much. Obviously.
Then Lyric, the music producer, who was used to be with Burna Boy as well.
Yes.
So Lyric was once a producer for Burna Boy.
Yeah, he was actually.
Yes,
He was, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
he is my protege as well.
Wow.
Yes. And I have so many other young women too. There's been runway models who have, there's a beautiful girl, Queensley Madu, and there's several other people in news writing, news reporting, journalism, and put together over 5,000 persons have gone through me from even setting up some of the first ever.
This is so much. Obviously, this is so
This is the
much.
first time I'm talking about it like ever in an open platform like this. I just say a few things on my Facebook page and that's it.
Wow.
Wow, this is beautiful. This is good.
So now, I think Faith should take it from there.
Okay, so going through all this journey, investing in these young ones, what really inspired you? Because I know on the long run you will have lots of probably discouragements. You know, going for a successful journey, there are times where you just feel you're discouraged.
Like what inspired you?
What were those things that kept you as a lady? Couple the fact that, you know, women, we get to a point where we can just easily give up when it's not dancing to our tune.
It is strong.
Yes. And looking at your biography, you are really a strong woman.
Ooh, it comes across, eh? It comes
across
like that.
Obviously, you are.
It takes a lot of tenacity, an uncommon type of tenacity, and a stubbornness that is driven by the sheer audacity to take on task and follow through, come what may. I have never really shared my very personal story with people. Often when people are on my Facebook page, they see a lady who is vibrant, energetic, doing things, busy, making impact and all of that. But there is a story behind all of that drive. It's a story of a girl when she was 7 years old and she knew she was meant to be a ray of light.
Wow.
So when I was little, my father used to call me a very pretty, sweet name. It had Ray inside of it.
At the age of 7?
Long before, right the day I was born, the name came with it, right even from the pregnancy, I mean, all of that, you know. And then at 7, something remarkable happened to me, and I think that was the age I defined who I was completely, because every time I remembered that incident, I went under the tree. So I had a disagreement with my dad. I was very young then. And then I also have this thing that is unusual with young people. I'm one of those young children who, I don't usually mix with people. I am that kind of sit away from others and just watch people. I enjoy watching people. So a bit of introvertedness is there. And then there's this natural little girl who wants to just withdraw into her shell. Very shy. I'm actually a very shy person, but people don't know that. You see me talking like this.
Obviously, it's not looking like this is it.
You know what I mean?
Obviously.
So that little girl, so there was that small disagreement. I've never told anybody this, so you guys are quite exclusive on this particular story. Yeah, I think because being surrounded by young girls, hitting the mainstream media, doing what you do, defining your purpose and pursuing it, I think I just want to share the fact that, look, you only know your dream, you know your vision. And every one of us are born with certain gifts. This is what inspired the GE Factor Star Search in Port Harcourt in 2004, down all the way for the many years it lasted, was because I knew that every child is a gift. I knew that every child had a hidden talent. Sometimes some of them are blessed with several. I happen to be one of those kind of children that have several talents. From painting to drawing to running. I mean, I ran for my school. I created the first female first female football team for my school ever. So I am a runner, 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 relay races, marathons, javelin throwing, shot putting, all of that. So I'm one of those kind of children who are multi-gifted. But I also know that there are children who have one gift, and that one gift can determine their life. If you kill it, you've killed a human being. When you deny a child their right to who they are, either for religious reason or community pressure or lack of ignorance. We have a lot of educated ignoramus around who think because they went to school, they should know better. But often it's not the case. So at that age, something happened and I went under, I have this thing I called my happy place.
Okay.
I have my happy place. And that's why when I came to TV 360, you took me back to my 7-year-old girl. Because I'm always surrounded by trees, all kinds of trees. That was my happy place.
You said the nature and everything meant so much to you.
Yes, because since I was little, anytime I have a problem, I can't deal with people, I can't deal with human mindset and behavior, I just go and hide in my happy place. And that's surrounded by all kinds of trees. So on that day, that thing happened, and then I went under that tree. And then the ray of light hit me profoundly. Under the tree, because it was so thick. The foliage was thick at 7. The foliage was very thick. So I sat there crying, confused, solemn at the same time. And then this ray of light just navigated through, sliced through the trees, the leaves, and then it just gave me this beautiful yellow glow. And that glow has stayed with me ever since. It's my energy bust. It stays with me. So yeah, so that's my story about how I knew that because of what I'm blessed with, I'm going to face obstacles. I'm going to face rejection. I'm going to face condemnation. I'm going to face some very, very strong opposition. And that has been my story. And I have to, as a woman in Nigerian space, I often had to navigate all of that. And it's been a lot of work. It toughens you, obviously. Really, but that is short and short.
Actually,
not short and long.
Apart from Lady A, now we know Lady A. We know what Lady A has been through. We know, like, literally your biography and everything. But now let's talk about the book, Distortion.
This, right? This baby.
Obviously, in love.
Because
this baby has been putting me through a lot of wahala.
Obviously, when I went through it on the internet, I'm like, what kind of story is this?
Yeah.
Like, so what's it about? Like the name and everything. What came to your mind? What inspired you about this book rather?
So I've always done writing. My first poetry work, my father saw it. He never knew I could collect a memoir of poetry. And I was very good at journaling. I knew how to write my thoughts. I'm an extremely creative and imaginative girl since I was little.
At what age?
By this time already, I was 11, 12.
Are you serious?
I was drawing things. For those who know Voltron back in the day, I was drawing what was called Voltron. And then I was one of the girls who always tackled boys. I knew how to play boxing. I knew how to play karate.
Exactly. It's coming from.
So what happened was, because I knew how to write things like that, unfortunately, I didn't get the kind of support I wanted in that space, but it's okay. It's one of those things in life. So from then on, I did my very first book, as a matter of fact. I self-published it. I wrote a story about a young girl who was struggling within an environment that did not make her thrive. So I think for the first time in my life, I was actually writing about me in the future. So everything I have done till date, when I remember that story, I did not know I was writing about me. And now I am here, and I can say that most of what I wrote about me that I wished has come to pass.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really,
It's
really
that
beautiful. So we can say that the movie, why do I keep saying movie? The book has been...
People think it's a movie already.
Actually, it should be. Because when you read about that story, it's giving you a picture of you're watching a movie.
It looks like
you're ready.
The characters, I'm like, no, this has to be like in a movie scene and everything. It's like I know, like I read that it's been sponsored by the Delta State Government of Education and everything. So how did it get into ministry, like Ministry of Education? And I also saw that it said to go like journalism, maybe a book, like mass communication students, public relations students, like can literally read, like, what's it about? I just want to know about this book. Because when I read it, I'm like, oh no, I need the actual book. Like, I need to tell Lady A, please give me the book, please. But like, just tell us about how...
I like the first question when you asked me about what led to writing Distortion.
Because I really want to know.
Right. So my background, I have done a lot of communications writing, from radio to TV to online, you name it. That's my thing. That's my space, my ecosystem. And one of the things I started doing was called investigative journalism.
Yes.
Because I like long form writing, creative writing. I knew I did not fit the regular beat reporting. You know, where you go out, go cover a beat, come and report. For me, I find it very boring and routine, even though that is the heart.
Sometimes.
Even though that is the heart of a news organization, right? So what happened was I now decided that, you know what, I want to tell stories people don't often tell in a way that people don't often tell them. And so I delved into investigative journalism. The first thing that inspired me to do that was a story of a young girl who, at the age of 15, joined a cultism initiation. Wow. She was more or less, it was a rape, but it told her that the requirement for that initiation was to have sexual relationship with 10 to 14 boys at the same time. It was a requirement.
No, that's so much.
So I uncovered that story. It was the story too that also gave me the recognition I had with the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism under the Report Women Leadership Program. And apart from that, the story was so powerful that it shaped Delta State, for example, right? The schools were involved. As one of the schools that were involved, where the center and even church were involved, were so moved by it. I was called by the Council of the Elders to say, Lady E, this your investigative story is causing wahala, because it was a big deal when it broke. Yes. It was everywhere. Actually, in fact, one of the online news organization that published that story, the first time the story broke, under 2 days they had 20,000 hits on that story alone. Wow. Yes. Yeah, it was that powerful. And then so I told the story. I uncovered how girls were being recruited in secondary schools from the age of 9 to 15. They were being aggressively recruited and targeted by these cultists. And I said, no, this can't happen. We have to save our children. And so I went out undercover. I revealed so much, exposed so much, worked with a lot of principals, school counselors, and many students who were almost taken into cultism. We actually saved over 150 of these young people from being recruited into cultism. So for me, that was the first big deal of investigative work I did. Even though by nature I'm a researcher and I write stories and I write things like that, that was the start of the journey. And I'm happy it has such impact because, one, we not only saved children, we now teach them how to get out of cultism through the support of the magistrate court and the anti-cult agency who are responsible to enable this happen. Not to mention the fact that we encourage more counselors to be on the lookout to protect our young girls and young children from being recruited and targeted even by teachers or their fellow mates and those from outside the school environment. So it was a big deal and it was a good one.
Wow. Okay, so I know now you've literally ventured into this investigative journalism. So I know along the line, are there like threats or things that you've faced in the long run before getting to the ends of roots, or maybe investigating some things, like difficulty things, like
those challenges?
Challenges, yes, more like,
okay,
are people after you, or like when you have like a secret or like something you need to, because in the book, I know like a pause actually found somewhere and like the whole script, I'm like, what did he find? Like, what did he find and everything? So it's a big hit for him. Yeah. And he actually deserved like more than that. So we'll dive into that in the next segment. Okay, but like, are there like threats to your life after this whole thing?
The way you frame that question just makes me laugh. So, I mean, there's no job that doesn't have its own challenges.
Oh, okay.
I mean, somebody who works in a hazard company, you're going to be facing hazardous products.
Actually, true.
Pharmaceuticals are exposed to radiations of all kinds as well. So the nature of the work we do, speaking truth to power, you know, revealing things that
are bad,
that affect our society. Sometimes not so much about the word bad, but so much about the word, what is the impact it is having on the society. So if a thing is not working for us, how do we change that so that it's better for us? So it's the nature of the job. It has its own normal challenges. But as a journalist, because you're also upcoming, I think it's good to have this conversation because the truth is, you must know the Nigerian law. You must be aware of the laws of the country. You must know what your job professionally expects of you. You must have your own personal ethics alongside with the journalistic ethics. It is non-negotiable. You should be able to define the kind of media organization we work with, are they media organizations who care about you, who will go all the way for you? Should there be a challenge? Would they be able to protect you?
Yes.
So this is very important.
Actually,
you have to ask yourself these questions.
Before
and
you
then,
venture into it.
Yes. So you know, need all those kind of laws that are tricky and funny. You need to know how to navigate it, because your job as a journalist is to uncover what should be revealed
To the society.
if it becomes a serious threat to the public.
Okay.
To the public, because mass media is about the public impact.
yeah.
So let us remember that conversation.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, just equip yourself, know your job professionally, create a network of fantastic friends and loyal people who
Loyal
you
people
are loyal
especially.
to. You will go out of your way for them, you know, as well, as much as they will go out of their way
Same
for you.
here.
So
too.
build that kind of camaraderie and love and friendship, and you'll go places.
Oh, okay.
Amazing.
So let's go on a break. So go on a quick break, but please stay with us. You know who we have. We don't even need to talk too much, so just stay right here. We'll be back. Welcome back, guys. So yeah, with us, we know it's Lady E, and Lady E. Now let's talk about this book.
Okay.
So now the characters in it. Let's talk about Apos. What do you think of him?
Aquas is your guy,
Ah,
eh?
it's my guy, because I'm like, what did you find? Like, why am I ending at this point? I'm like, oh, why did they give us just a short clip of like the book on? I'm like, oh no.
Okay.
Let's talk about Apos.
So Aquas is a journalist.
Yeah.
I had to create a story that celebrates a journalist.
Sure.
The journalistic work they do, how they expose themselves to the issues we talked about earlier on, the threats, the challenges, the obstacles,
yeah.
and their low moments. Distortion is a mental health crime book.
Okay.
And the reason why I wanted it to be written from that perspective is because the nature of media mentally drains you. It demands
Yes,
a
it
lot
does.
out of you.
Sure.
People don't know that, but we're exposed to so much emotional stretch, mental stretch, physiological stretch,
Very
physical
true.
stretch. And if you are not prepared for the nature of how this can hit you, because often we face, there are, how do you say it now? There are moments where you would lose yourself.
Okay.
If you don't have your emotional bulwark in place, you're going to lose who you are.
Sure.
And when you lose who you are, it's a problem. And I wanted that gap to be filled and understood. Because at the end of the day, how do we protect ourselves from the
Yeah.
stories that we have to write,
True.
from the investigation that we have to cover, and the trauma that we are exposed to from time to time? That was why I said I need to get somebody who represents that.
Wow.
That's a very
That was an
beautiful
awesome one,
scene.
actually.
And I don't know if this in the long run can actually be turned into a movie, because we actually deserve like some kind of awards. So now Apos actually, for me, is a special character in the movie. Even if I don't know much about him, but just the scene, I'm like, human trafficking.
Yes.
And what they do to
Actually,
girls.
yes.
And which is a real life story. Like it happens in any country,
Everywhere.
anywhere. So we'll talk about that.
So one of the reasons why I started the book, ordinarily, funny
Yeah.
enough, the name
Yeah.
I started with is not Distortion.
Oh.
It was as I was writing the book, the working title changed
Okay.
when I got to, like, if you open the book now, 10 pages before the book ended or thereabout.
That was when
That's
you got
when
the
the
name?
name came out.
No.
Wow, that's
no, for
serious.
real?
That's when Distortion came out.
Because I'm like, distortion,
Yes.
okay.
Wow.
Because I now realized that the story was telling itself.
Wow.
I now saw that there were patterns in Nigeria, baby trafficking,
Yes.
baby
A
selling,
lot of
orphanages that were
lot of-
pretending.
yes, yes, yes.
You had a lot of orphanages that were pretending to be orphanages, but they're not orphanages. They were places where parents,
go
couples,
there to sell their kids.
and syndicates go out to get babies. And so I'm not going to talk so much about all that, but I'm going to, it's based on real life stories, but particularly I am after the Usu caste system
Yes,
Yeah.
I
in
saw that.
Nigeria.
I saw that.
I had to go all the way to Port Novo
Wow.
so that I can uncover that story about the Usu caste system, because it's affected a woman so strongly. And I told myself, I will tell your story.
Wow.
And that's why I use the literary form to tell the story about distortion in our society. It is a distortion to call a human like you and me a subhuman. To say that you are an Osu and
Yes,
somebody else is a
like-
Diala.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are all Dialas. That is a freeborn.
Yeah.
That's who we are,
Yes,
freeborns.
yes.
So why would you say somebody is a Diala, is an Osu, and then you
Just
are a
discriminate.
Diala, you are a freeborn? Did God not make us equal?
We are all equal, obviously.
In his eyes, we're all equal.
Yes.
So why did we have such a distortion about the human nature? We complain bitterly about how racism is bad,
Yes,
and
and
yet
we
we
still
practice this form of
ourselves to our
elitism,
fellow
right? That
brothers
is
and sisters.
tribalistic to an
Exactly.
extreme.
Very
We're not saying
true.
don't own your identity as your tribe. If that helps you roll your roller coaster, all good. But you cannot say that because that your tribe is so and so, that's why it's more important.
Exactly.
And that makes you more superior. And that's why I'm having this conversation that enough of saying that Nigeria has 3 major languages. It is so misleading because
Obviously.
Yes, because you know there are
these
other
3
tribes.
languages, if you look at the Niger Delta take care of the entire Nigerian space.
True.
And Isoko and Robo are the
Yes.
4th largest speaking language in Nigeria.
Actually.
But nobody knows that that category of people
Because you
exists.
just tag them to just be
Because you feel
three.
there are only 3. No. And I think this is a conversation that the National Agency of Nigeria, as well as the Ministry of Education
Should look
and
into.
every other orientation agencies should understand that it's time we look at the Nigerian education framework that is all inclusive of all tribes, of all languages.
Okay. Going through the book, we got to that part where Abu was being caught. Now, was it his family that?
Like he was cursed.
Yeah, was it his family that made him that projected
Or
him
maybe
that
was
way,
it- Maybe the job he had.
or
wasn't
was it
enough?
a job?
That is why Abu represents the totality of the mental health crime story. He is the driver of the mental health
Yeah,
crime
because
story.
to Mama G and all.
Yes.
Good. I'm happy you're naming the characters. Very nice. I like that. That's a sign of you dipping into the book itself. So yes, the reason is because Abu on the one hand, Mama G on the other hand, these are 2 characters who manifested before us the reality that when you push people too much, when people become individuals against the state, fighting oppression, fighting denial to get access, just like you're talking about how we use tribe to deny people success in businesses, success in
Jobs
career and
jobs and
opportunities. All of this plays out. And then I try to show you how, if you're not careful, even you and I, as we sit here, if we don't understand that what I call the vulnerability pointers are being triggered in us, we will experience or become the next Abu. I will let people find out what happened to Abu
Obviously.
and how it did happen.
Please, you need to read this book.
Oh, so
For you to find more about Abu, you just really need to.
How do we get it? For our viewers, like
For our viewers, yes.
Right,
we
okay.
want to.
So yes, you can actually just follow me on my Facebook page. We're doing
Okay.
something. It used to be, we deliberately removed it from an international site because
Okay.
we discovered that they were trying to play with Nigeria. You know this thing about fintech and all of that, and we realized that it's time we as Nigerian people understand that we have the numbers, we have the creativity, we have the manpower. People shouldn't be taking us for granted.
Actually.
So if you follow me on my social media pages at Lady E Umukoro, that's so Lady E with one word, Umukoro together.
Okay.
So LADYE UMUKORO.
Okay.
Lady E Umukoro
just put
as
that
one
here.
word. Or you just go Lady E Ejiro Umukoro.
Okay.
Right? You can find me there on LinkedIn. And Light Ray Media, the ray of light. That's the story. Light Ray Media. Light and Ray Media. So look for it. That the Light Ray is one word. Light Ray, one word. Don't separate them. You can look for us there. Or you can even call us on our numbers. And we can you can get access like we distribute to so many persons. So if you want us to roll our number, it's 0803 5926 That's 0803 5926 and we would deliver internationally, locally, no matter where you're situated. Can I just say how proud I am to be surrounded by sweet, emerging Amazons?
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And then a great job to all the
pleasure,
crew behind the
Ma.
scenes doing this wonderful work at TV360 and to Digi Badmos and his other men behind the scenes.
Yes.
Come on, well done to you guys. We're so proud of what
Thank you, Mara. Thank you so
that's all we
much.
can take. Bye, guys. See you next time.
Bye.